So I just want to thank all of you so very much for coming. I am just truly grateful that each and every one of you is here this evening. And thank you for being flexible, all of you, the Freida team, as well as everyone who's attending, for being flexible and going from Facebook Live to our Zoom call. So we didn't realize that the school here had multiple firewalls that prevented us from getting in, but it does. So anyway, we are here, and want to thank my team for everything that they have done to make sure that this last minute email went out and all of the posts went out to make sure that people knew about this event being changed. And I also want to thank them for really helping us to get the word out on social. They've done a stellar job, so thank you. And I wanted to thank Keith, who walked out here, but Keith was with us today trying to get us through the firewall situation. So we really thank Keith for everything that he has done today, also for helping us to make this event happen this evening. So I'm very grateful. We're both very grateful for him. So
he's a great guy. We love Keith here.
And I think you wanted me to tell you a little bit about how I learned about Freida and how Freida came about at the Good Life Gift Boutique. So I was trying to think about it. About 5 years ago, I was at an event, a buying show in New York, and happened to be stopped literally by the beauty of this line. And so I obviously went over and started talking with them and absolutely fell in love with the line. So that was 5 years ago in 2016. So we brought it in, and we have been a retail partner with Freida since then. And that's actually how I met Deb. Deb has been coming into the store for quite a few years. And then she and I developed this relationship because she is a Freida collector and has been collecting Freida for many years and has pieces that I never even had seen before. I think she has a couple of them on tonight, so I'll let Freida talk I'll let Freida talk to her about that. So we are really, we love this brand at The Good Life. It is a brand that people come in, they ask about the collections, when they're coming in, when will we have them? So Freida, the collections are so well received and people literally wait for them. So thank you. The Woman of Strength, is that line of bracelets was one that when it came out, I was in awe. It is so incredibly beautiful. It is classic, it is beautiful. And the meaning behind it, I think, is just one that every woman, every person can relate to, regardless of their age, regardless of who they are, where they are, what they're doing. So that line is one that people are really also loving quite a bit at The Good Life. So I'm going to introduce Freida to tell us about the line, and she's going to interview Deb a little bit. Deb is a teacher here at the Glen High School, and we are actually in her art studio. So Deb, thank you for allowing us to be here today and broadcast from here, because it's quite an honor. Walking down the halls and seeing all of the artwork is really just so motivating. I think you all would love it at Freida Rothman. It's just really, it's beautiful. There's some real artists here. So it's been a really kind of cool experience for me because I haven't been in a school for a really long time. So thank you. I love it. So I'm going to introduce Freida Rothman, who owns the Freida Rothman Jewelry Company, and she's going to take us through some words of wisdom here about the Woman of Strength bracelet.
Thank you, Deb. Thank you, Nancy. It is always an honor to meet strong women, and I'm excited to interview Deb and ask you a couple of questions over this very challenging year. So, hi everyone, it's so nice to meet you. My name is Freida Rothman. I am a second-generation jewelry designer. My family has been in the jewelry industry close to 35 years. And I started my career launched the Freida Rothman brand back in 2013. And prior to me launching my brand, I joined the family business, which was the jewelry business. I've always been an artist, so I definitely appreciate what you're doing. I've always sketched and painted, and it was just a natural evolution for me to join the world of jewelry. And I started my career working with other private label designers, and I would help them put together collections, and their jewelry was being sold in Bergdorf, Neiman, Saks, very luxurious retailers across the country. And my husband, Matt, who's also my business partner, kept telling me, Freida, you know, you can start your own brand, you can start your own company, you got this, you can do this for yourself. And I was the mother of 3 little kids at the time, and I was very nervous and hesitant to put myself out there, to put my name on something. And I said, I don't know, I don't think I can do this. I'm very happy kind of being that back end artist and working with these other designers. Everything's working just fine. And I remember coming to work one day, and there's boxes and boxes in my little office, and my entire office is covered in boxes. And I turned to my husband, I'm like, Matt, what is going on here? What is in all these boxes? And he goes, open it and you'll see. And I opened these boxes, and it is full of jewelry displays with my name written all over it. It says Freida Rothman. And he turns to me and he goes, Freida, you're now officially the designer of this company. Let's get to work. I think we spent all of our money on these displays, so we really don't have a choice in the matter. Let's get to work and let's make this thing happen. And that was the first year that I really had no choice. I had to put pen to paper and come up with my very first collection. And I really appreciated the time that I had working with the private label designers, because it gave me an insight into the industry and kind of where that white space was and where there was opportunity to build a brand. And for me, I felt it was really important to have a brand and a collection that had some meaning to it. So to me, when you're buying a piece of jewelry, and I'm sure all of you can relate, you'll never forget that time either you bought yourself a piece of jewelry or if somebody gifted it to you. You won't necessarily remember the time you bought a black Zara turtleneck, but you'll always remember that time you bought yourself a piece of jewelry because it has meaning to you. It's usually for a special occasion, or even it is to accessorize your look. And since I kind of went back, and when I was designing these collections, I kind of dug into myself and who I am and what I want these pieces, as any artist would do, what would I want these collections inspired by? So each and every piece tells a story, which I'm going to show you this evening. And all of the pieces are inspired by Brooklyn. And the reason I choose Brooklyn as my inspiration is because I was born and raised here, and raising now 4 children here in Brooklyn. And I speak a lot about my grandparents through, all of the collections. And the reason I talk about my grandparents is because all 4 of my grandparents were Holocaust survivors. My 2 grandmothers being Auschwitz survivors as teenage girls. And I grew up across the street from my grandparents. So they were like a second set of parents to me. And what I learned from them is to constantly look for the positive that we have in our life. They didn't really have a choice. They kind of had to, but to always choose that path where you can find the beauty around you. So it kind of became my brand mission and also my personal mission to always find beauty in Brooklyn. So some of the pieces that I'm going to show you are going to be inspired by manhole covers on the streets of New York. It's going to be the railroad tracks on the streets of Brooklyn, New York. And normally you would think inspiration is coming from some beautiful beach in Paris, or not in Paris, some beautiful beach somewhere, or the streets of Paris. But this has some meaning and purpose. And I always want you to think about, when you're looking at the pieces, what inspired that, and to always look at the cup half full. Now, in March of 2020, we launched a very, very meaningful campaign. And this campaign was called the Women of Strength campaign. And that's why we're here this evening, honoring Deb and her strength over this very challenging year. So we launched this beautiful strength bracelet. This bracelet was designed in honor of my grandmothers. And for me, it was a personal also, because I draw strength from my grandmother's experiences. The word strength is written in big, bold letters, and the background of the bracelet kind of has this black texture to it, which symbolizes the streets of New York, which gave my grandmothers a second chance at life. And the word strength is written on both sides of the bracelet. So when you're looking at it from the top, you're giving yourself strength, and the words are written vice versa on the other side. So when you're opening your hand in kindness and you're giving back to others, you're giving strength to the next person. And that's what my grandmothers taught me. Now, the word strength can mean so many different things to so many different people. For me, it's my grandmother's stories, but for anyone else, it can mean so many different things. I truly believe in the strength of women and how much we're able to accomplish in one day, from the moment we wake up to the minute we go to sleep, from our children to our partners to dinner to everything that kind of we just multitask and we do. And I'm truly inspired just looking at the women that I'm surrounded by. My business, my company is primarily females, and I'm really inspired by their strength and what they're able to accomplish. So that is kind of the campaign Women of Strength that has taken on its own mission. It's gone nationwide. We've been featured on so many different retail platforms, and it's really an honor to be able to meet so many women across the country that we have honored. And I personally and my team have grown so much just from meeting women like you, Deb, who have overcome so many challenges in their life. And each woman's story is different. And it truly has been an honor for us to present the strength bracelet and to honor you in such a way. So Deb, I'd love to ask you a couple of questions before I feature the collection. And if you can kind of, explain to us how you got the strength and how you were able to overcome those challenges. So what did this past year look like to you? And what were your biggest challenges?
Well, thank you, Freida. And I am honored that I was chosen. Thank you, Nancy, too. Hey, it was a huge year for everyone. In education, you were constantly recreating yourself. It was, planning out, and all of a sudden, the next day, it all changed. So you really had to be very flexible. You had to be ready to take the changes and move on, and do it in a way that your students didn't see you get frazzled, that you were, falling apart in any way. And I think that's, to me, it was a challenge, but the way I took the challenge on was I kept my routine. I get up every morning, 5:30, 4 to 6, and I do my exercises, and I take a shower. I get dressed, I put my clothes on, I pick my jewelry out, I do my thing. And even during the Zooming, which in the beginning, of course, everybody was Zooming. In Glen Rock, we have been in school since September in person with cohorts. So we had kids moving through, but the teachers were here. And, I just felt that as I would go through all this, the challenges were tough, but we all had to do it. We were all in the same boat. So it was a matter of, as you mentioned, you have very strong women in your life. I have had very strong women that have been role models in my life, and I feel I'm a role model to my students. And you never know how you're influencing someone. So it's important to be introspective, to put your best foot forward. And I always tried to keep the positive to whatever I was doing. As you mentioned before, glasses half full. I'm definitely somebody, I'm in agreement with you. In fact, I was going to use that line.
We're very aligned.
It's true. It's very true. And, I've been teaching a number of years. I'm 38 years teaching. I've taught K through 12 art. So I've gone through a lot of working with people of different ages. But anyway, the point being, it's so important to realize that as a teacher, you are a role model to your students. And you never know who's picking up on something. I've had students over the years that will, write me a letter or communicate later that I had no idea I was influencing. And those are things that I always keep in mind. So.
That is very special. You never know a teacher, and everybody can think back to their childhood, right? And you'll never forget that one teacher. I remember even in first grade, a teacher was so proud that I learned the Hebrew alphabet. She gave me a kiss on my cheek. I don't know if today you're allowed to do that, but I'll never forget. I'll never forget like how proud she was. So excited. She was so proud. And I'll never forget every time I say that Hebrew alphabet, I remember like how proud my teacher was. So, and I was a little kid, I was in first grade. And it has such an impact when you have a role model, you have a teacher that can really impact your whole life. So That's really special. So, you mentioned a challenging year and how you overcame those challenges by focusing on the positive. You also recently started a scholarship program. Can you tell us about that?
Sure. Well, from being honored here tonight, one of the parts to this, Nancy mentioned, was that 10% of the proceeds from Freida Rothman sales at the Good Life would go to a charity of my choice. And I thought, well, my husband and I, Carlo, we give to a lot of charities, but, this is related to my teaching. It should be giving back to students and be related to that. So Nancy and I talked about it, and we, and decided it would be a good thing to give a scholarship in the arts, which is something that I've always thought about doing. Anyway, so this kind of pushed it forward. And so yes, so there's going to be a scholarship, not this year, we've already given our scholarships out, but for 2022 to a art student or two art students anyway. We'll figure that out as we move forward in the future at Glen High School. And the scholarship title is Strength in the Arts. So kind of parlaying off of what you're talking about, there's so many wonderful things that are done showing strength through the arts in our society. So that's where we're headed with it.
I couldn't agree more. Kind of sitting in my chair, I couldn't agree more with that. So I love to partner with something that you're doing and giving back in such a way that's very special and very meaningful. And, can you tell us about, because I know when we kind of chatted and you chatted with Susan earlier, you said you would take your long walks during COVID and you would focus on the beauty around you. Can you tell us about that?
Sure, absolutely. You didn't know what to do. We were all in the point where you didn't want to watch the news too much. You weren't quite sure where everything was going. But as I said earlier, I would get up, do my exercises, breakfast, get on my Zoom, all dressed, and of course people would be, why would you not just be in your pajamas with your cup of coffee? And that's just not my style. It's just not me. To other people, hey, I'm not making any judgment calls. But and kids would say to me, my students would go like, Mrs. Cella, you're all dressed, you've got your jewelry on, blah, blah, blah. I said, well, I even have perfume on. It's like, I have to do my thing to make my day. And it makes my day. And I think I also have learned that from some very strong women in my life that I always kind of emulate. And so anyway, point being, at the end of the day, when I was truly spent, because I teach art, studio art, that was a real push to figure out how do you make this a valuable experience to students where now all of a sudden you're Zooming and you are doing it all remotely. It's really hard. We did find our ways, and there are things that I will keep in place that I learned from that through our learning management system, which were great. But anyway, the point is, as you said, at the end of the day, whether it had been 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, by the time I got back to people about things, parents, students having trouble, whatever, I always went for at least a 2-mile walk to clear my head. And when I would walk, you started seeing all the signs coming up. Thank you, all the healthcare workers, of course, which were great and very, very powerful. And then you start seeing, little kids' pictures in windows, or kids would be drawing on the sidewalk with chalk, saying thank you, and just saw how community started in a positive way, reaching out and building and finding all the positives. I'm getting teary-eyed, but anyway, finding all the positives to bring everybody forward. So yeah, so that was it.
And
I love that.
Those stories are exactly the stories that we keep hearing, in our store. And when Deb came in, her stories about being so motivated to make sure that the kids were taught in a way that would be impactful for them. So it wasn't just like, oh, they're on Zoom, who cares? I mean, Deb was really working hard to make sure that these kids had as good an education as they possibly could through Zoom. And as she says, being this art teacher in this studio, I can't even imagine what that would be like, but she did it. So I'm just so grateful for all those teachers out there. Every teacher, I know I see a lot of them on here, all those teachers out there. Thank you so very much for all that you have done this year.
Absolutely.
It has just been remarkable.
There's no question. Having 4 school-aged kids, I can totally relate to that. It must have been very, very hard. I lost patience after 2 weeks, and you guys did it the whole year or longer. So just thank you, thank you. And you know, it's nice to hear how you also appreciated those thank yous, because you know we can send those cards, but you don't realize you know how meaningful it can be for the person on that receiving end. So it's very special to see that you really felt that appreciation from your community, because it just gives you the encouragement to continue doing what you're doing. So now I want to share some of the jewelry pieces with you, kind of on that note of Deb going out and finding those pieces, finding that beauty around her. Deb, did you want to say something?
Well, what I'd like to do is present Deb with the bracelet. We kind of
skipped over that.
Press that part out. So what I'd like to do is make sure that Deb has her bracelet. So
absolutely.
What we were saying before, or what I was saying before, is that, you know, Deb was coming in, other teachers were coming in, and what I realized so quickly, the strength that every single one of you had. And Deb, I just want to thank you for everything that you've done. Don't get me crying.
Yeah.
And on behalf of the Good Life, we'd like to present you with this strength bracelet for you. Thank you so very much. Thank you, thank you.
Congratulations. It is well deserved.
Thank you.
Congratulations. You're getting applause from everyone. It's a well-deserved gift. So this is the bracelet that Deb is receiving, the strength bracelet that I showed you guys earlier. And you know what the crazy part is? I'm the one who kind of designed this bracelet, and I wear it every single day. And especially during the heart of COVID, like when things were really difficult and you're like, oh my God, how am I going to get through this? I would look at this bracelet and like, it's going to be okay. My grandmothers were fine. I will be fine. This is good. So it really does give you that strength. It really does inspire. And especially when you know kind of the inspiration and the story behind it, I think it makes it really special. I love it as a gift. I love it as a gift for someone that you know is going through a rough time, or even for yourself. You know, you want to feel inspired. You want to feel positivity. It's a really great bracelet. I know that the Good Life has a percentage of proceeds that are going back to help with the scholarship, but as a company, every strength bracelet that we sell, we give a percentage of sales to Nachas Health and Family Network, which is an organization that helps elderly and Holocaust survivors here in New York to feed them and clothe them. We've been able to donate thousands of meals during COVID because of the strength bracelet. So it's been a very special addition to our company and just made us all feel better about what we do every single day. So I'm gonna go ahead and share with you some of our pieces that are inspired by Brooklyn. I'm going to start with our signature statement pendant necklace. And if you can see over here, it has that crisscross design work. And this is inspired by the railroad tracks that's right outside our office in Brooklyn. And you'll notice a lot of mixed metals, a lot of black and gold. And the reason I use that mixed metal and that contrast of color is we're kind of mixing that grit and glam. If you look at the pendant alone, it is absolutely beautiful. You don't really need a full description, but knowing kind of the story behind it just makes it more special. And my favorite part of the pendant is that the reverse side of this pendant is inspired by the manhole covers on the streets of New York. Now you can see it has that black texture as the background, and you can wear it either on this side or you can wear it on the other side. This is an enhancer, so it does come on and off, and it is on this chunky link chain. Now, a lot of the links that you'll see in the collection, walking to work, I always pass these like old, I wouldn't say old, but kind of, they're still manually opening up these gates when they're coming to work early in the morning. And I love that chunkiness and the grittiness and edginess of those links. And I said, I want to put that into the collection. So you'll notice a lot of links in the collection, and that's what it's inspired by. Now, when it comes to necklaces, I always love to layer it with a classic long strand chain. Nancy, I know this has been in the collection for a while. You guys have partnered with us and had this long strand for a while. This is part of our signature icons. And this is in a 60-inch chain, so you can double wrap that, and it has that mixed metal of the black and gold, which we call our grit to glam. So this is a really stunning statement look, and it has that Brooklyn story and Brooklyn inspiration for that statement pendant. Now, for those that are familiar with the collection, you know how much we love our stacking bracelets. Stacking bracelets is very iconic to the brand. It's kind of like build up the stack. I think, Deb, you own quite a few already. So now you'll be able to add that strength bracelet to the stack. And when it comes to stacking, this is such a great example of kind of that grit to glam. So you have that black background, which creates a really stunning contrast, and one of our best-selling bracelets. And you have that glam with those stones in there, and then you have the pave details on the bracelet itself. But I do want to show you that this is an oval hinge bracelet. So if you're worried and you're not sure about what size or what works, the strength bracelet is also an oval hinge. So oval hinges fit almost every size wrist, even if your wrist is super skinny or it's a wider wrist, because it opens nice, and our wrists are the shape of an oval. So it hugs your wrist really nicely, and you kind of snap that shut. So this is a great like starter bracelet just to start building your stack. And what's beautiful about it is that you can really dress it up and dress it down. You can wear just one, think of a pair of jeans and a white shirt. It's different. It's nothing that you currently have in your jewelry box with that contrast of color. And it really brings that extra glam to anything that you're wearing. Now, when it comes to stacking, we always suggest to stack in odd numbers. It's a lot more appealing to the eye versus, 1, 3, 5, 7. I mean, your arm is really the limit, how high you can go. But it's just it looks better when you're stacking in odd numbers. So, when you have a wider bracelet like that, I would kind of stack some skinnier bracelets on the side. The bracelet that I have right next to it, which I'm going to show you a different bracelet, is a round slide on. So this would be your perfect round slide on. This one, I would say you kind of have to know if your wrist works with round slide ons. It doesn't fit every size wrist. So if you're worried or you're not sure, I say go with the oval hinge. I personally love mixing both the slide ons and the oval. You don't need to worry about, even though you have some more space between the round slide ons. And this looks really beautiful when you stack kind of 3 and put some skinny ones next to that. It's also really pretty to add some chunky link bracelets in there too, just to bring some dimension into your stack. It brings different texture, different colors. Don't be afraid to mix silver, gold, black. That's what makes it very unique and different. And, I mentioned the black rhodium as kind of the grit in the collection, but I also like to always compare it to, when we put eyeliner around our eyes, right? Like our eyes immediately pop. So the same rule applies when it comes to jewelry, because as soon as you put that darkened metal behind the stones, the workmanship and all of that detail really comes across in the piece itself. So at the end of a show, my wrist is always from here to here, but I'll kind of show you some of the stacks in my hand as well. So since we're, in June and we're more in the summer months, we do have our Brooklyn Coast collection, which is inspired by the kind of the waterways, and going into summer, you'll see some more turquoises and more color in the collection. And we also have some pieces that are inspired by, this is actually, I love the story, because talking about going on those long walks and seeing the beauty around us, I get really happy when I wake up in the morning. This is, Deb, you mentioned your ritual, right? I have these rituals too. Like the day cannot start until I have my coffee and the Times. Like it just won't start, it just doesn't go. So I have like exactly what time I sit down with the paper, and I know I look out to my left out the window. And as soon as I start seeing those little buds in the trees, and I know that spring and summer is coming, there's just this I just get filled up with so much excitement. And I said, that feeling that I have from seeing those buds come into the trees is what I want to put into the jewelry. I want you to feel the same thing when you're wearing these pieces. So you're going to see these tiny little kind of petal detail on the bracelet. It has these little buds on, almost like a marquee shape. but you see that in that workmanship of this beautiful spring summer collection. I think the light's a little bit bright, but you guys can see these baby petals and buds on the bracelet. So you kind of can mix that into a stack. This is obviously a really beautiful full slide-on stack. I love wearing this in the more gold finish, and you can mix some with the petals, with some of the larger stonework, and put that on your wrist. So I'll put that on so you guys can see what that looks like. I usually suggest to put them on one at a time, but don't tell anyone that I put them on a bunch of them in one time, but look how pretty that is. So I actually love wearing like a little black dress or even something in white, and then filling up my wrist with some of these gorgeous stackable bracelets. And then I would kind of tone it down a little bit on the layering necklace. And I always say, choose where you want that, you know, focal point to be. Where do you want that attention to go? Do you want to go with the statement earrings? Do you want to go with the wrist? Or do you want to go with that layered necklace? And then choose daintier pieces for your other areas. If you want to go with a hoop, this is actually one of our signature best-selling hoop in that mixed metal. This is a great everyday earring, and it has that perfect combination of grit to glam. And what I love about the collections is that it's very wearable. I know, Deb, you wear them, Nancy, you've been selling it for years. It's that perfect classic with a twist. It's not going to be something too crazy that you open your jewelry box and be like, I can't wear that today. Everyone's going to stare at me. It's pieces that you can really wear. It's very wearable, and it has a really strong message. So I think the pieces are super special. And then you have more pieces in those darkened rhodiums, which is that mixed metal of the black and gold. And you can see some of those pieces here too. So it has more of that detail work. This is actually a cobblestone inspired bracelet, stackable bracelet. So I would go with something here, choose that, start with the wider bracelet, and then continue to build out with your skinnier bracelets. So this is a really nice 3-stack with the wider one in the center, or you can go with the one with the clover and then build those 2 bracelets on the 2 sides. So again, having that mixed metal creates a really stunning contrast and really shows up on your wrist. You know, even though they're smaller pieces, it doesn't need to be so big for it to really show up. And these are some of the lighter pieces too within the stackables. I mentioned some of the turquoise dimensions and the mother of pearls. These are really beautiful too. You can start with the wider hinge bracelet and then kind of build out and add some color in there. We're at 2, so we can't be at 2. I would add 1 more bracelet here. And this is a really pretty bracelet here with the pave, and these are all oval hinge. So a really great way just to elevate your everyday look, your summer whites, freshen it up. And that's what I love about jewelry too, is that we can wear it every single day. You can't necessarily wear the same shirt or the same, you know, outfit every day, but as soon as you add some jewelry, it really just changes it up and it elevates it. And, you know, going through COVID, we've been nobody really was shopping for clothes, but we, you know, the jewelry really just, we were able to see and look beautiful from the top up. No one cared what was happening at the bottom part. And we were really able to change up our look through jewelry. These are some more beautiful summer pieces with an earring. So I always say when it comes to earrings, I'm just going to lower the light a little bit. I think it's a bit too bright. There, you guys can see that now. So you can see that mother of pearl. I love a great mother of pearl for summer. And, you know, someone once told me that if you really want to stand out, choose and wear a white dress, something in white. You would think like red, yellow, white stands out the most. And it's same rule applies for jewelry. Whenever you wear this white mother of pearl, you can see it against my face. It's not a very big earring, but it really shows up. It stands out. It's a gorgeous flat cut white mother of pearl stone. This is part of the Brooklyn Coast collection. You kind of can see that shimmery tone in the mother of pearl itself. And you have a small drop earring, and you have kind of your more statement earring. And within these seasonal collections, if I'm showing you pieces from summer, they are limited. They are in the store, but they are limited, and they're just available for that season and not available anytime throughout the year. The pieces that are more iconic, that mixed metal, the black and gold, is available throughout the year and part of our signature iconic collections. This is also a great everyday. I love this even as a great little gift, or even something that you can layer for spring, for summertime. It has that mixed silver and gold finish, a very classic. And you can layer it with, I'm actually wearing something from the Brooklyn Coast collection too. It has those links in there, and you can kind of build your layered look. So as you can see, a lot of the pieces are very classic with a twist. And you can see that beaded edging around the face of the pendant. And a lot of these smaller pendants do go from 16 inches to 18 inches. And there's a couple of more earrings that I want to share with you from the summer collection. So we want to brighten our faces. We don't want to wear a lot of makeup. I'm kind of thinking when I'm designing, what are we wearing? What are we feeling? So you can see some of these classic gorgeous hoops. I'm thinking a great gold pair of hoops is a great way to enhance what we're wearing. It has that mixed metal of silver and gold, and bringing that kind of petal inspiration into the earrings. I love kind of feeling that in the pieces that I'm wearing. I love this little dainty drop, and you have the open clover, and a great pair of hoops is just really finishes your look. You can't go wrong with that gold. And a lot of the gold that we use is the signature matte gold that has kind of become iconic and very different and unique in pieces that you don't necessarily have or own, but don't be afraid to kind of mix it up and to wear it with some of your existing pieces that you already have. So that's takes a lighter color tone for the summer collection. And we do also have, we're very, very well known for our stackable rings. That's something that everybody loves, our stacking rings. My suggestion when you're stacking rings is to always go up a size, because it takes up a large part of your finger. And this would be our summer collection, our 5-stack stacking ring. So this is inspired by the modern architecture in New York, going into summer, and it has that pave detail in the front. And what's really fun about these stackables are that you're able to wear either 3 or 5. If you want to be edgy, you can even put one on your thumb and kind of break it up and wear it so many different ways. I know with me and my 2 teenage daughters, somehow they think some belong to them, some belong to me. I never can have that full 5-stack, but it's a really fun way to wear your rings. And I'm sure you guys noticed this statement ring on my pointer. I love wearing, this is also part of the summer collection, with that faceted mother of pearl stone. And the face of that mother of pearl, so you'll notice a lot of mother of pearl during summer has a pave face around the stone. So this is all faceted. So this looks really gorgeous as a pointer or as a ring. So in my mind, I'm like wearing that white flowy summer dress, and I really want to enhance it with some gorgeous white mother of pearl stone and a great pair of gold hoops and a gorgeous layered look. And then you can go with 2, with 3 little skinny bracelets. You don't have to overdo it on your wrist. Again, choosing where that focal point is. So that is kind of a highlight of the collections. Don't want to keep you guys too long. I would love for you to go and see more of the collection at The Good Life. Nancy, you've been a great partner to us for many years. You believed in the brand from the beginning. So thank you so much. And, what we're really proud of is, being a second-generation jeweler, my father being in the business for many years, is the quality and the workmanship of the pieces itself. It's something that you can wear for many, many years, and it wears really, really well. So again, love for you to go in and try on and take a look at the pieces. And it's been a tremendous honor honoring you this evening, Deb. And may you continue doing good things for children for many, many years. Stay healthy, stay strong. And I look forward to hopefully meeting you in person.
And Freida, I just want to say one thing before we go. I want to make sure that people know about the 10% charity, and that is anything that they purchase from the Freida Rothman collection, either on our website, which is www.thegoodlifeboutique.com, or in store, which is in Surf City, New Jersey. So either of those locations, the 10% goes to strengthen the arts. So thank you so very much. Thank you for allowing us to be here this evening with you. And
Thank you very much, Freida. Would love to meet you sometime.
Thank you. I look forward to it, and thanks for the support, and thanks you for all what you do for our youth. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful evening, everybody.
thank you. You too.
Everyone, have a great
Bye.
night. Bye.
Bye.